What's up guys, Tim here from Audio Tutor. Let's get some done. Hey guys, Tim here from Audio Tutor. So, Happy New Year. It's 2019. Whoa, we're living in the future. No, well, we're not living in the future, but it kind of sounds futuristic, right? 2019. I think it's the 9. The 9 is kind of futuristic, kind of space agey. Well, Happy New Year. It's awesome. It's a new year. And I'm hoping that 2019 is that year that you get stuff done. You get those tasks finished. You reach your goals. You get all these things done. It's so annoying when you get to the end of a year. You get to the end of December. And you're like, man, I just didn't finish A, B, C. I didn't finish any of these things. Whether it's a single or, you know, you wanted to release an EP or an album. I'm the part of the album party. You know, I always say I'm going to release an album and then it never happens. Definitely part of that crew. Maybe you are working on a theatre production. Maybe you're working on sound effects for a video game, something like that. And you just didn't get it done. And you're like, when you look back on it at the end of the year, you're like, I could have got that done. I had the time to get that done, but I just didn't. I don't get it. Why didn't I get it done? So with that in mind, today we're talking about getting stuff done. We're talking about completing those tasks. And I have a great little gem for you today. It is an awesome principle from the middle of the 20th century that is just going to supercharge your productivity instantly. But before we get into that, if you are looking to get into the world of recording and mixing, but you don't know what equipment you might need to get that done, I have exactly what you need right now. I have a guide that it's a guide to all of the equipment you're going to need to get started recording and mixing on an affordable budget as well. So it's equipment that I've used myself and I've loved myself. It's got prices in there, recommendations, prices, some tips and tricks, and there's even a chart at the back of the book to help you with your spending as well. So it's absolutely free, a gift from me to you just to get you started in this world of recording and mixing and audio and all of that. It's 25 pages long, it's free. There's a link below my face, basically. There's a link down there somewhere. Click on it, and I will email you the ebook. So yeah, enjoy that. Right, now let's jump into this principle. Let's supercharge your productivity. Let's go. Okay, so Cyril Northcote Parkinson. Does this name mean anything to you? Cyril Northcote Parkinson. Okay, he was a British guy, much like myself, just a lot smarter, right? And he lived within the 20th century. So he was born in 1909 in County Durham, and he died in Canterbury in Kent, right? These are both in England. Canterbury in Kent in 1993, right? And he was a British naval historian, but also an author, right? And in his lifetime, he wrote around 60 books. The most famous of those books was called Parkinson's Law, right? Kind of aptly named, he kind of named it after himself, Parkinson's Law. This is a great book. I recommend you go down to your local library, go on Amazon or whatever, buy the book, read the book, but we're going to kind of break it down here today. This book was huge, and it still is huge. I mean, it's kind of timeless. It really cemented him in the world of like management and administration. It's a really cool book, so we're going to kind of break it down. The main principle of Parkinson's Law is that a task will expand to fill the time allotted to complete it. Right? So I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but a task will expand to fill the time allotted to complete it. All right, so what does this mean? Let's kind of break this down into an analogy. And seeing as we're audio people, let's break this down into an audio analogy, right? Okay, so let's pretend I am a filmmaker, right? I'm no longer an audio person, I'm a filmmaker now. And I've directed this amazing short film. It's really great, really gritty, amazing film. And I've finished the final edit. And watching it through, I'm just kind of thinking, in the opening credits, it could really do with this orchestral, beautiful arrangement that's going to really set the tone for the film. Great, okay? So knowing that you are the music maestro, I come to you and say, hey, could you do a wonderful orchestral arrangement for me for this film? Here's the film, here's some composers that I like, here's some inspirations for the film, here's a few things. You say yes, I say great, I need it in 6 months' time. You're really excited about this thing. Now let's look at what would your schedule and what would your planning be for getting this done in 6 months' time? What's your plan? I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to take a guess that tomorrow morning you're going to wake up really bright-eyed and you're buzzing and you can't wait to do this project. It's really exciting and new. You're going to jump into your studio, you're going to get on the computer, you're going to start researching about composers and film compositions and orchestral music and all these things, right? You're watching YouTube videos about how Lord of the Rings was written, you're watching interviews of amazing composers, you are listening to a ton of music. This is all amazing research. Maybe even you get on the keyboard and start kind of playing around with some chord progressions. You don't need to record it yet because you've got 6 months to do it. So you're just kind of playing around and it's fun, and then you watch some more YouTube videos. Maybe you rent a book from the local library and read that. All this wonderful research is really great, good fun. And then you kind of put it to one side. You've got other things, you've got other projects, audio projects to do. You've got a side job as well. You've got all these other things to be doing. And there's no rush. You've got 6 months. It's fine. So a week later, you organise let's say a lunch date with a friend of yours who was a singer-songwriter, and he or she started delving into film composition and now does that for a living. And you organise this lunch date with them for next month. So now you're in the second month, you're going for this lunch date, and it's really interesting, and you're talking to them all about it, all this more research, more YouTube videos, all this wonderful stuff. Then you get home, you're now in the second month, you get home and you start playing around and you come up with a few little chords and a few things. You arrange 32 bars of this lovely orchestral music. You've got 32 bars, but you've got to do way more than that. Then you put it to one side, your family's like, hey, let's go to Disneyland or something, and you do that instead, and you've got all these other things to do. So suddenly we're in the third month, and you come back to it, you see it on your desktop and say, hey, well, I have got to get that done, so I better have a look at that again. You write a bit more, maybe you get halfway through the arrangement this time, and then maybe we're now in the fourth month, and you finally get the arrangement completed, and then you start thinking about mixing. And you're like, all right, I've got to do some mixing now. Let's research about mixing. And then you get on YouTube and you go to Audio Tutor, the blog, and you start looking at wonderful tips and tricks about mixing and mastering and recording and all of this stuff. And you get lost in all of that and you start watching interviews from Dave Pensado or whoever. And you're just getting lost in all this mixing stuff. And maybe you're watching a video about how to make your synth strings sound more authentic. That does exist on the Audio Tutor blog. Go check it out. And you're getting lost in all this stuff. You're doing all this research. It's great. You're doing all this research. Finally, in the fifth month, you're mixing stuff. Things are starting to sound kind of cool, but you're still, you got time, so you like do a bit here and there. And then all of a sudden, I'm calling you up, and I'm like, hey, how did you get on with that composition? Did it go well? I'd love to hear it. And you're like, oh man, all right. And you quickly finish the mix, and you send it over to me, and I love it, and it's awesome. It's so great. And we enter it into Sundance Film Festival and we win all the prizes and you're a superstar. Great outcome. So you completed the task. It took you 6 months. You completed the task. Now that was scenario 1. Now scenario 2 is the same thing. So I'm a filmmaker and I've made this film, and I really want the opening credits to have this lovely orchestral arrangement. And so I call you up, but the difference is this time I need to send this film to the producers tomorrow night. It's got to be sent in the evening tomorrow. So I say to you, hey, I really want this orchestral arrangement in the opening credits of this film. Here's a load of info, but I need it back tomorrow afternoon at the very latest, right? Because I've got to send it to these producers. And you say, yeah, that's great, and you agree to it, and it's awesome, and you can't wait to do it. And so you go straight into your studio, and what do? What's your plan this time? What is your plan this time? So you've got 24 hours basically to get this done. This time, I'm guessing you're not going to go on YouTube. I'm guessing you're not going to be reading any books. I'm guessing you're not going to be meeting with your friend for that lunch date and learning about things. I'm guessing the first thing you're going to be doing is opening up your DAW and writing things. You're going to start writing. Because you've got no time, you've got 24 hours. So you're going to just start composing something. Whatever you come up with, that's what you come up with. And you're going to just roll with it. Now, what is happening here is that because you have no time, you've got 24 hours to get this thing done, you're taking all of your previous experience, all your expertise and all that knowledge, and you're just putting it at the forefront of your imagination, at the forefront of your mind, at the forefront of your brain, and just splurting it out into Logic Pro 10 or Pro Tools or whatever. You're just writing. Whatever you knew before, it is just coming right here to the front of your mind and you are just splurting it out there. It is just all you. Then it comes to the mixing phase, and are you going to jump on YouTube and start watching tips and tricks about different things? No, you don't have time. You're just going to take all the knowledge you had already on mixing audio and recording audio, and you're just going to get it done, right? You're going to bring all that stuff to the forefront of your mind and just get it done, get the job done. Then you send it to me, it's finished, you send it to me within the 24 hours, I love it, we enter the Sundance Film Festival, we win awards, you're a superstar again, isn't that cool? Superstar, both scenarios, you're a superstar. So here's the interesting part of Parkinson's law. In both of these scenarios, in 6 months and in 24 hours, you finished the task. You got it done. You got it finished, right? How is that possible that you got a 6-month task done in 24 hours? That's craziness. Just through, you were just limited. You had no other choice, right? Isn't that amazing? And what's even more interesting is when you start looking at the outcome of these two scenarios. So let's start looking at what is the arrangement that you actually came up with at the end of 6 months, and what's the arrangement you came up with at the end of 24 hours. And more often than not, they're either very similar or sometimes the 24-hour version is better. You've just taken everything you have, all the knowledge you have, and put it out there. Whereas in the 6-month option, you've kind of gone back on yourself, you've changed your mind, you've said, oh, I don't really like this bit, I'm going to change that, delete that, do it again. You've second-guessed yourself. You've changed things that you didn't need to. The research can sometimes be a downfall. Maybe you've listened to Lord of the Rings too many times and you've basically just rewritten the Lord of the Rings soundtrack. That's no fun. So this is Parkinson's law, the fact that by limiting your time, you can get a task that would take you forever done in no time at all, and oftentimes it can be even better than the long haul version. Okay, so the last thing to talk about here is how to implement this into our lives, right? As audio people, or even if you're not an audio person, that's fine. How do we implement this into our lives? We don't always have someone saying, I need this done in 24 hours. So we've sometimes got to set those limits for ourselves. If someone says, I need this in 6 months, don't give yourself 6 months to do it. Say, all right, in the first week of the 3rd month, I'm going to get this finished, all right? In 6 or 7 days, that's it, right? And that's all you've got to finish it. Don't give yourself the 6 months. If you're a singer-songwriter and you've written a song, chances are you're just like, I've written a song and it'd be cool if it was out on Spotify soon. Well, you need to give yourself a limit, all right? So say to yourself, I am going to have this song on Spotify by the end of the month, right? And that way you're limiting yourself, you're going to get more done. If you just say, well, sometime this year, you'll probably be watching the 2020 version of this video going, oh, I didn't get it done, all right? So set limits for yourselves, guys. If you like Parkinson's law, if you've never heard of this before, or if you have, you just like the way I explained it, give it a thumbs up or whatever, share it with a friend. If you've used Parkinson's law, or if you're going to use it on a new project, then put a little comment in the comment section. Tell me about it. I'd love to hear about it, how you're going to use Parkinson's law in something this year, to finish something this year. Come on, it's 2019. We're going to finish stuff. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one sometime soon. All right, ciao.